Hey everyone, Carl here with Littleroot Lessons, bringing you a deep dive featuring Lunala, aka Fwoofy, aka Nebby. We could just make Cosmog jokes all day here, but Lunala is the focal point of today's episode. Remember to hit that like button, do all the YouTube stuff, subscribe, comment down below who you want to see me cover next week, all that fun stuff. I'm excited to jump right into Lunala here because there's a lot that Lunala can do in the Series 10 format. So, for those that may not be aware, Lunala is one of the legends from Gen 7. It is the other half of Solgaleo and can combine with Necrozma to make Dawnwing's Necrozma, and Gen 7's weird. Let's just go with that. Anywho, Lunala offers a ton of utility for teams just because it has unique access to moves like Wide Guard and Trick Room that most restricteds don't actually get. The one trade-off, however, is that you are 4 times weak to Dark with your Poison and with your Psychic and Ghost types, which Dark type coverage is fairly common because Incineroar is popular, Calyrex Shadow is becoming popular again, so people are packing Dark coverage for that, and all these other random Ghost and Psychic types that are kind of just becoming popular in the format. However, this doesn't mean that all is lost on Lunala. Lunala still has its ability Shadow Shield, which reduces the damage it takes if it's at full HP. There's also Colbur Berry, and it's actually fairly bulky for its stats, so as we kind of look into Lunala, always remember that yes, you are 4 times weak to Dark, but a 4 times weakness does not define the Pokemon itself. As we played Series 8, Lunala tried to see a little bit of play doing what it's trying to do now, and be this Trick Room, kind of fast Trick Room setter, kind of like what a Mimikyu did early on in Sword and Shield. But it really struggled in Series 8 because Dynamax was still a thing. You could just blow through its Protect, make it pop its Shadow Shield, and the Dynamax move takes it out. With removal of Dynamax, though, Lunala kind of has this chance to make a second run at it, because Trick Room is a little bit of a harder strategy. Like, it makes the perfect setter, just because of its immunity to Fake Out, its Shadow Shield, meaning it's almost going to take 2 hits every time. And on the opposite side of that, it can still be an offensive threat with items like Power Herb, because it has access to Meteor Beam and Expanding Force. As Trick Room setter, Lunala's partners tend to also lean towards the Trick Room theme. Things like Stakataka, Araquanid, Amoonguss, Indeedee Female is a common one I see because they just get to sit there and spam Expanding Force at everything. Other redirection users like Volcarona are kind of popular too. Other common partners tend to be more offensive threats because Lunala on its own doesn't do a ton of damage. Things like Landorus Eye and Regieleki are really good at just being annoying and pulling attention away from you, Lunala, while it sets up. Serena is another common partner. It's not as widely known, as you saw with Carter's deep dive 2 weeks ago. Serena stops a lot of the priority moves that can cause problems for a lot of Pokemon, things like Grassy Glide, Aqua Jet, and all that. Lunala not being the fastest thing means if a priority move gets popped off, say a Rillaboom Grassy Glide, that Urshifu's Dark move is going to crit you and take you out 100% of the time because your Shadow Shield's been broken. So Serena's kind of here as a option of, oh, you can't break my Shadow Shield unless both Pokemon are faster than Lunala, which is actually hard to do. Lunala's base 97 speed is nothing to scoff at. Looking at the metagame breakdown here, common moves, Moongeist Beam should actually be 100%. I rounded it down instead of rounding it up. Just a mistake on my part. Moongeist Beam is almost a must-play on Lunala every time, just because it's the signature move and it ignores abilities. So, like, the best example I can think of is if you Moongeist Mimikyu, you will ignore Disguise and blow it up. Same with, like, Sunsteel Strike and all that, but we'll get to that later. Trick Room is the second most played move here. Makes sense. Wide Guard, Meteor Beam, Protect, and Expanding Force. Other weird coverage moves, you get Moon Blast if I remember correctly, because you're the aspect of the moon situation, I'm not sure. But Lunala actually has a lot of weird coverage that we don't really see on here because a lot of the people just want to play Meteor Beam and Power Herb things. Which, speaking of Power Herb, when we look at items over here, Power Herb is 90% of the items. That says something that, hey, most of these Lunala are going to go down to a doubled up Dark type attack, or breaking the Shadow Shield plus knockoff or something weird like that. However, there is the 6% that run Colberberry. If you ever have played with like the pinch berry, the item, the weakness berries and stuff like that, Cobble will activate before a knockoff. So I don't think you get the bonus knockoff damage. I'm not sure how the interaction exactly works, but it works kind of like a weakness policy where you don't remove the item; it just gets consumed after knockoff or before knockoff hits and whatnot. When you're building with Lunala, your team really kind of needs to support it. Lunala is not the most powerful restricted. It is more of one of those what we'd call a utility restricted, kind of like Yveltal, others like I cannot say the word utility. There we go. Other utility restricteds tend to desire more from your team building aspects than, say, a Zacian or a Xerneas. While doing Trick Room things is obviously all well and good, Lunala can do other things besides that. I have seen max speed sets because you're on the same speed tier as Urshifu, you're a base 97 Pokemon. You could get fast Meteor Beams, fast Moongeist Beams, fast Expanding Forces out, so don't feel forced to play strictly Trick Room with your Lunala. And with the Power Herb sets having access to Meteor Beam, you get to get that +1 special attack and make sure, and if you hit, you can usually take out opposing Incineroar or any other frail Pokemon sitting across from you. As far as movesets go, Lunala is fairly straightforward in terms of its damaging moves. You're going to pick Moongeist Beam and you're going to pick Expanding Force or Meteor Beam depending on your item. You get access, like I said, to Moonblast. I think like Energy Ball is another one, maybe. I'm not sure. Lunala's move pool is just all over the place, and it's really, really cool. However, most of the time, you are going to be Moongeist Beam, Meteor Beam if you're Power Herb, or Moongeist Beam, Expanding Force if you're Colberberry. Outside of that, your support and utility moves depend on what your team is doing. If you're Trick Room team, obviously you're going to have Trick Room. If you have a hard time against Kali Shadow, you're going to want Wide Guard. If you don't care about Urshifu, you could run Protect. That's fine. Urshifu's probably going to hit you anyway, so that's why this last set here makes a lot of sense. You are still max speed, but compared to other restricteds and other fast Pokemon, you're still slow. So you still get to move before them under Trick Room. To go alongside that, you still get Power Herb to do the Meteor Beam strat, to where you just Meteor Beam, blow up an Incineroar because you're faster than it, and then you're +1 with Moongeist Beam next turn under Trick Room. And you also get to carry Wide Guard for free because it's just an extra move slot that you don't care about. As we mentioned earlier, Lunala really struggles if its Shadow Shield is broken. Things like fast Electro Webs from Regieleki, or a Tailwind Water Spout Kyogre plus a double up with like something like later on. If you can break the Shadow Shield, you'll be much better off against Lunala. The downside is a lot of these Lunala also kind of run like grassy terrain and other ways to kind of just heal up, so they're always going to try and get back to full for Shadow Shield. So just keeping on top of that and chipping away at that Lunala is going to be real important. Being 4 times weak to Dark means Lunala struggles against Urshifu, obviously. Other big ones are like Yveltal, Galarian Moltres, and Incineroar. Using these Pokemon, because you're likely going to have at least one of these 3, maybe not Yveltal, but Urshifu, Moltres, and Incineroar are fairly common right now to have on your team. You can use these Pokemon fairly well to deal with an opposing Lunala. And Snarl's a really great tool. It's on a ton of different Pokemon, things like Suicune, Raikou, Entei. Incineroar gets it. Umbreon, something that used to see play in Series 8 that we aren't seeing much right now, but I expect to see a ton of play in the future. And it pulls double duty, just breaking the Shadow Shield and reducing the special attack of Lunala. But you can't really spam it in front of it because of Wide Guard, so it's that fun little cat and mouse game of, do they click Wide Guard this turn? If I don't think they do, I'm going to click Snarl to reduce Lunala's damage. If I think they do, I'm going to target the other slot, or I'm going to do something else entirely. Wrapping up with Lunala here, between Lunala's utility and unique coverage, thanks to all of those cool tutor moves like Expanding Force and Meteor Beam, it has a chance of being an actual decent restricted pick for Series 10. However, you have to be wary of the Snarl and fast double-ups, and don't get too careful though. Lunala can easily turn around the tide of battle with a well-timed Wide Guard or Protect, and just start to set up and sweep after Meteor Beam Power Herb. Lunala does a lot of cool things, and you gotta be really careful with it. Its natural bulk and ability means that it survives most everything the first time around, and if it gets set up, it can easily sweep through your team. With that being said, I want to thank you all for hanging out and listening to me ramble about Lunala. Remember to check us out on Twitter. All of our handles are there on screen. Check the Discord link out below. Link is in the description. And remember to hit the subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. It's free. Helps with the YouTube algorithm and all that. Comment down below who you want to see me cover next week. And with that being said, I'll see you all on Friday with Landorus Incarnate. Bye, everyone.